Stop being a Falcons fan, man. We got fans saying a lot of crazy things about what they would do with the team. What would I do if I ran the team? I don't know, man. I'm not Dominican, I'm black, man. Hop into the Bird Bath. What's going on, family? It's your boy Simo the C Mitchell checking in with another Falcons Bird Bath. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. The Falcons have been stinking it up right now. But one team that ain't been stinking it up is my alma mater, which I want to give a shout out to. Marcus Jelks and the Stevenson Jaguars. Coach Jelks got them boys out there playing good playoff football right now, and they're advancing to the next round. First and foremost, pertaining to the Falcons, I did a recent poll asking, should the Falcons give up on Michael Penix and move on, or should they stay the course and see what happens next year? And I'll leave a link below for you guys to be able to answer that poll either on YouTube or Facebook. Pick your poison. Going into week 12, the Falcons right now are 3-7 as we go to play the New Orleans Saints, who are 2-8. A lot of Falcons fans are very upset, and rightfully so. Fans are so upset that they are saying some of the craziest things. When we got Kirk, I was totally against Justin Fields, but right now I wouldn't mind having him. Take Olbrick with that soft defense. Your O-line is depleted. Your tight end isn't good. Your kicker lost the way and you're blaming the coaching. Well, yes, I do blame the coaching, and for good reason. We've had a lot of close games that we could have won recently. Games that have been one score, one possession games. We have the Patriots, the Panthers, the Colts, the Buccaneers. All close games that we could have won. At this point, I feel like I'd be lying if I told you it was going to get better anytime soon. I don't know if it's going to get any better. At the beginning of this season, I believed in Raheem a lot. And I told you Michael Penix was going to be good. And even despite the fact that Penix hasn't been what we thought he was going to be, this team has been good enough that we could actually go and win games. I saw two posts recently. One, where somebody was saying we could have had Bo Nix. And I was like, Bo Nix ain't been lighting it up, as I said previously. He brought up how Denver's been winning and the Eagles have been winning with their quarterbacks basically being game managers, saying that sometimes all you need is a game manager to go out here and win. And honestly, right now, that's what Michael Penix has been for us. He hadn't lived up to the hype that you were expecting as a first-round talent. Now, me, myself, I understand that quarterback is a really hard position to play in this NFL, and it takes some time for quarterbacks to get really good in this league. But Penix has only thrown 6 interceptions all year. He hasn't been terrible, and he hasn't been losing us games. We've had these games close enough that we could have won. And if you look at a team like Denver, you look at a team like Philly, their coaches are making real critical, good decisions at some of the key junctures in the game. They're winning a lot of close games. And our defense has been pretty good for the most part. But the difference between us and some of these teams is that they're actually scoring in the red zone when they need to. They're actually scoring on turnover opportunities and getting the ball back. And they're out-coaching a lot of the other teams that they're playing. This team has the talent that it needs. But what I'm not seeing from our coaching staff is discipline. Shout out to Winston with the eye test. He brought a really good point. In response to people saying, oh, I thought our defense was so good. Why are we giving up so many points? We're leaving our defense on the field far too long, and they're getting worn out and they're getting tired and giving up a lot of yards at these after being on the field for too long. If you look at the last two games, specifically the last game against the Panthers, I believe they won time of possession 40 minutes to 20-something minutes against we had the ball. If you look at the Colts game, they won time of possession by almost about 40 minutes to our 20 minutes. We're letting teams run. I believe Carolina ran like 78 plays, and we only ran 58 plays. We had a very similar situation with the Colts, and the game was still as close as it was. You cannot afford to leave your defense on the field that long and expect them to keep stopping people. And we did. We had a depleted defense last week that gave up all this yardage, but still was able to get off the field when we had our third and fourth string cornerback out there and still got the ball back to these guys. You got to be able to score. We keep having holding penalties. We're having far too many penalties in key positions, and that is the hallmark of an undisciplined team. Later in the game, had the final drive in overtime. We got guys, instead of making the tackle and just wrapping up, they're going to punch the ball out trying to get a turnover. Sometimes all you need to do is make the tackle. If they just make that tackle, we don't have a guy running for another 20 yards. Just keep them out of field goal range. But we're not focusing on the fundamentals, and that's coaching. In that situation, your head coach's job is to say, hey, guys, don't give up anything cheap. Hey, Stay in bounds. Hey, wrap up. Make sure you make the tackle. You got to remind these guys, don't give up a sack. All the little things, that's what coaching is supposed to be about, because at this level, it's all about the Jims and Joes, not the X's and O's. All these teams have talented players. Whether you believe it or not, whether I believe it or not, everybody in NFL has best players in the world at football playing right now, and there's a lot of parity in the league. If you look at the average differential of points and wins and losses in the league most of the time, it's under 10 points, which is a 1 or 2 possession game, but a lot of it's 7 to 3 points. A lot of our losses this year have been that close, where if we just get the little things right, we don't lose that game. Kicking can be an issue, but don't put the ball in your kicker's hands. Go out here and execute and do the things that you need to do. Run the ball when you're up and run the time down out of the clock. We saw that in the Colts game. When we played the Buccaneers on the first game of the year, we didn't run the ball nearly as much as we needed to. We had Michael Penix throwing far too often. This last game, we run the ball a lot more, but then we get away from it at key points once we get the ball back, and we don't execute. Dropping passes, that's a focus thing. Illegal man downfield, that's a focus thing. Things that you wouldn't have with some of the better coaches in the league. And I defended Raheem a lot more earlier this year, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure that he necessarily deserves a second chance. We'll see what happens over the rest of this season right now. This team still can finish with 9 wins, maybe even 10 wins. I don't see it happening, but we play against the Aints this week. And it's a very winnable game, as all of our games have been. And most football games only come down to a handful of plays. Now, before I get into the Saints game, one thing that I want to touch base on is we've had a lot of injuries on this team to start the year. I got to question some of the training staff on that, because I'm wondering, why do we have so many injuries every year? But as Steve Hightower said earlier this year, a lot of injuries come from a lack of conditioning. And I got to wonder, are all of our players on our team doing what they need to do in the offseason to condition the proper way and train the proper way that they need to? Bijan Robinson is on the Dragon Ball Z hyperbolic chamber up in the air training it. Some crazy altitude that he did with Christian McCaffrey, and we've seen him be a lot more durable this year. He hadn't even had a questionable mark at any point of the season. And I think he's probably running the ball a lot more than he has in previous years. If we can get the rest of our team doing some of those things, maybe we won't have those injuries. Now, I'm not behind the scenes. I don't know what all's going on with some of this stuff. There's some injuries you can't really stop. But groin injuries, some of the hamstring pulls, I got to wonder what's going on with that. Now, moving on to the Saints game. Look, man, it ain't a whole lot of rocket science to this game. Like I said with a lot of them, I'm not going to give you a whole lot of extensive breakdown. We don't like them. They don't like us. We're down to our backup quarterback, and we've gone and signed Kyle Trask as well. Ugh, yuck. Expect us to be able to go out here and run the ball. The Saints don't have a good team in general. Now, Tyler Shuck, he's been showing some promise out there, and their team really believes in them. And they're definitely going to get up for this game. This ain't a game that we can afford to lose, and we shouldn't lose. But they could definitely beat us if we're going out here and we're doing some of the stupid things that we would typically do. And the Saints would be perfectly okay with the losing season as long as they could beat us 2 times a year. But we're definitely going to be susceptible to the pass this week. So we really got to bunker down and make sure that we can get off the field on 3rd downs. And we're going to have to, hopefully we'll get some of our cornerbacks back. A lot of people didn't like Mike Hughes earlier this year, but you're starting to see why he was actually more valuable to the team than a lot of you guys thought he was. Hopefully we'll be able to get D. Alford back as well, too. Our team's given up a lot of passing yards, and the Saints could definitely give us some trouble and fits through the air. So that's something I'm going to be looking for, but we got to be able to stop their run, and we have to be pretty good against their passing attack. But I do believe in Jeff Ulbrich and his philosophy. Hopefully, we might be able to get Divine Diablo back this week as well, too. As far as Michael Penix, he's going to be out for 9 months with reconstructive ACL surgery. That being said, 9 months ain't that terrible to come back from an ACL injury. Now, we have seen where some players have an ACL or a torn meniscus, and they don't come back quite as soon as you'd like to see them come back. And it takes a little bit longer to recover. But 9 months puts us right around the beginning of training camp or somewhere in early August, maybe right before the preseason. Should be able to get some reps and snaps with the first team, but he won't be able to be in full contact. So we'll see how that kind of goes, but he'll be able to work with his receivers in the offseason and probably be able to get a little bit more development in. Of course, having a knee injury or ACL or something like that, makes it a little tough with your throwing motions. And he hasn't run as much as you would like to see him run. And he's probably going to run even less now that he has this ACL injury. But I don't want to question the toughness of the player. There are some concerns that I have with Michael Penix. I'm not even going to lie to you. There's too much of, oh, he's comfortable in the pistol. That's the excuse I've been hearing about why we run the pistol so much. Or he doesn't run so much because he's not comfortable at that. There's far too much that he's not comfortable with as a player from what I'm hearing. Love to see Michael Penix go under center a lot more. They say that he's not, I've been hearing that he's not as comfortable under center as some quarterbacks in the league. And if I'm the coach, I'd put him under center a little bit more. These aren't things you want to see out of your first round quarterback. All right, guys, that's our show for today. Stay tuned. I'll make sure that I put the poll results for our recent poll about whether you should move on from Michael Penix or not on Sunday's pregame show. So make sure you tune in to us at Point Game Official on YouTube and Point Game on Facebook. C-Mo to C. Mitchell, Falcons Bird Bath, checking out for Point Game Official, baby. Peace.